Okay, Greggy Parker. Not gonna make it to this one. Oh, that's a bummer. But that's okay. Looks like he's got some kids to take care of. Thanks for swinging by to comment though, pal. It's been a minute, folks. Hope everything is working appropriately and functioning. It's been a minute since I've streamed. Anyway, it's been a minute. Which, you know how it is. There's the holidays, and then there's sickness that comes after the holidays, and then there's school starting again and all those kind of things. So it's been a little crazy, and I've had a couple minor health issues that have sort of kept me from doing too many extra things, and then I've been very, very busy working on Operation Iron Coffin, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, man, everybody, I appreciate everybody who has watched in the past, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm Tyrell Cannon. I draw comics like Operation Iron Coffin, Free Planet, I did an issue of, The Schlub, Eris, Fantastic Four Fanfare, lots of fun stuff. Today, wanted to do a quick stream and catch up, show some stuff that has been announced lately that people haven't seen yet. So I'm going to show some art from Operation Iron Coffin because there's a 10-page preview out there. It's on AIPT Comics, the comics news website, AIPT. There's a 10-page preview up there, but it was also in a printed book, which is... oh, look at that. It's not working here. Let me fix this. Let's go to the desk here real quick. Hey, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. All right, now I got to fix the other one. All right, how's that? Does that look a little bit better? Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. As I said, I have not streamed in a minute. But yeah, we see we've got some folks showing up here. BMC Comics, all right. Favorite way to spend Tuesday night. Thanks, pal. Ichthus, what's up, Total Excellence? Edison, hey, Edison. It's been a minute. You're stringing your words together, too. Yeah, right? Like the stream, folks. That would be great. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. But now I have this stuff back together. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. So this finger here is quite a bit bigger than the one on this side right now. It was huge over the holiday. I broke it or sprained it or something. I don't know. And then I tore something in my shoulder. So I've had some trouble with my drawing arm, but I've been able to work still. But these things have slowed me down, and so I've been missing. But I appreciate you guys showing up. So tonight we're going to look through these previews, and I'll show you a little bit of the Free Planet issue, and then I'll show you some art for both of these. And then we're going to look at Jason Pearson's body bags. I'm not going to pick it up because it's really heavy. And depending on how long that all takes us, I might try to ink this drawing of Dracula from Operation Iron Coffin. But yes, I'm going to go ahead and take my headphones out here because I think everybody can hear me, and I don't want to hear myself. But yes, it's been quite a holiday aftermath here. How was everybody else's holiday? I hope it was good. We're going to move this guy. So, there goes my magnets. Ryan Stegman showed me this magnet trick, but then of course I just dropped the magnet. All right, let's start with Free Planet. So Free Planet came out, let's see, a month ago maybe? Yeah, Free Planet came out like a month ago, and I did this fill-in issue. It's called Expansion Protocols. So between issue 6 and issue, I guess it would be 9, issue 7 and 8 were these cool little side stories that Aubrey did. He did the other one with, gosh, I'm spacing on how to actually say his name. It's like Elias Chrysius. can't remember exactly how you say it, but he did an issue right before this. So yeah, Aubrey, my beef brother, he asked if I had any availability to do, one issue of Free Planet, and I was loving what he was doing on Free Planet. And I said it worked out actually really well because I had exactly the right amount of time open to do Free Planet. And I was excited to work with Aubrey again because Aubrey is really fun to work with. He's got just so many crazy ideas. And, I was like, this will be fun. He told me it would be a side story so I wouldn't have to draw all the main series characters, which would have been fun, but also that's a lot more work when you have to, stay on model with all these different characters. He said I was going to be able to create a lot with this. So it's basically about a Space Marine type character that gets sent to this planet to sort of, as like a scout to sort of settle this planet, and has sort of a really bad time while he's there. It's a rough ride for this guy. So lots of action, lots of big fun stuff. And the colors on this were by Vittorio Astone or Astone. So shout out to him for coloring this. But it was a blast, man. I got, Aubrey wanted me to do this kind of Simon Roy-esque little kit, takeout thing. If anybody, you guys are prophets of the Brandon Grand Simon Roy prophet, you'll know this kind of stuff is really fun. And I got, he wanted an overview of sort of this vast landscape. And so I got to play around with different sort of geographical formations and stuff. It was really, really fun to do all that. And then a lot of big action. So, he ends up getting in these big fights with these different kinds of creatures that live on the planet. And, Aubrey's script was very, it was crazy. He kind of somehow he wrote it exactly how when I drew it, I was like, this is like a perfect script for me. Like everything was sort of delineated in a very clear fashion. And he played to my strengths, which is really good. When you have a writer that can write things for you that are like in your wheelhouse and kind of clicks the same sort of maybe inspirational buttons for them as you, it's really great. And so we both love, things like Warhammer and, Starship Troopers. And he was able to call out a lot of that stuff to me as dive in with that sort of attitude. And then also little paneling ideas. Like it was Aubrey's idea that we would have these sort of gun blasts and these little moments where in an overall scene that the action would expand. So like him slashing through here, or these sort of big gunshot shapes that show these explosions. He called all that out. Or like right here we have his visor eye thing here as a panel shape. So he called out all this stuff to me, and it was like, this is exactly how I would have done it. It's like he just was in my head. And this scene was crazy. I remember he texted me and he said, dude, is like 12, what did he say? However many panels this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's like, is like 11 or 12 panels, is that too many for a page? And I was like, man, I appreciate you asking, but absolutely not. Like, let's do it, man. Like, let's find a way to make it work. So it's fun to have those challenges. I really enjoyed working on this. And the final result's really cool. I got to do a lot of hand-drawn sound effects in this issue. But yeah, these 2 issues are not going to be collected in the trades, so y'all need to grab them. And if you haven't been buying Free Planet, it's a really great series. Just really, if you're into sci-fi and world building and the idea of how cultures might work in the future, it's really, really interesting. But these 2 issues won't be. I do have them up on my website now for sale, so go over to tyrellcannon.com. You can find this for sale there, along with some other new items and all the original art from this, which I'll show in a minute. So yeah, we were kind of evoking a lot of different things. He wanted this sort of cyclone here of like a like a hurricane, because the character's getting swept up in this big storm, but he's also having all these flashes of his memory and stuff. And so we made this kind of spiraling shape. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, but the whole time I was working on it, I was thinking about this really amazing panel in the new X-Men the Grant Morrison Frank Quietly New X-Men during the Nuff Said issue that's all silent, where there's these concentric circles kind of going in like this in the same fashion, and they're sort of interacting from panel to panel. And I mean, I'm happy with how this turned out, but the bar in my head was that. Like, I wanted to do that, but you know, we did our best, and I think it turned out pretty cool. So yeah, this was really fun. I'm not gonna, you know, spoil the whole ending, but if you guys get a chance to pick this up, you should. I'm gonna go ahead and show you a few pages from it. The other thing Aubrey did that I love is he gave me lots of 2-page spreads to draw, which he knows me. He knows me, you know. So here's that big one of him charging all these bugs and stuff. And let's see if I can focus it a little bit closer here. So I drew these little crab creatures, you know. I think that the script described them as crab creatures. I believe that Aubrey said something like that, but he also said, hey, if you want to do something else, go ahead. You know, he left me tons of leeway. But I like the idea of crab creatures because it is sort of evocative of the insectoid aliens you see a lot, but they're not. They're like, you know, not quite insects, you know. But I was happy to play into those sort of cultural references. I mean, we're not being shy about it, right? Like, we know what these references are. You know what they are. Great. We all understand it. Let's just love it, you know? Like, there's no reason, you know, the whole, like, culture of, like, oh, well, that's just this and this. It's like, well, yeah, great. I mean, those are cool things. Let's put them together. All right, beautiful page, double page spread. Thanks. Like this, Warhammer. Yeah, absolutely, man. When I was drawing this, I was showing the pages to my buddy Jason Howard, and he was like, "Dude, you just need to be doing a Space Marine, a Warhammer Space Marine comic." I'm like, "Man, if they called me, I would do it. Like, that would be a dream. That would be so much fun." Yeah, 12 panels. The Soul Archive. Wowie, thanks, man. Make this. Thank you for that compliment on the paneling. That's something I try to do my best at. All things eventually evolve into crab. I like that. So there's that one. Here's the one with the plants. The other thing that I was excited to do on this is when I started this story, and I told Aubrey this too, I said, man, I just got my order of screen tones in from the leader. And so I was putting screen tones all over these pages. So if you... you know, if you see something you like here, these are for sale up on the website right now, and I priced them pretty conservatively. I'm very, very proud of these pages, but I also think that these cool spreads and stuff would just, you know, I want someone to have them, you know, because these are fun, and I had a lot of fun doing them, and I'd like to share that joy. But, you know, we had this plants kind of taking everything over, more hand-drawn sound effects. And yeah, Aubrey called out this sort of, he wanted it to look like a Venus flytrap, and he sent me like diagrams of it and stuff. Aubrey also sends tons of like reference material, which is awesome. You know, I love it. Or not reference material, more just like, I mean, in this case it was, but a lot of times it's more like vibe stuff, you know. But yeah, I tried my best to make it look like that, but like a little scarier, you know. All right, here's that 12 page or however many panels it is one. And I'll show you guys something here in a minute. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Aubrey just said to do trippy, like I think he said like do trippy shit behind him, you know, like psychedelic shit. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he called out like EC horror comics in this panel, right? And so I totally went with that kind of really stark lighting, sweaty, wet, you know, haggard look. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where when you work with a writer that sort of can vibe on the same stuff as you, when you call it out, you get a better result 9 times out of 10. And of course, that's really hard to find someone you completely jive with, but, you know, they're out there. Your persons are out there. There's many writers, and some of them are... They're all looking for people to work with. Not that you have to work with a writer, but I like how these little hatch lines turned out. It's sort of my Will Portasio, Scott Williams kind of thing. And I've been doing it a little less lately because when I'm coloring myself, I don't feel as much need to distinguish those things with the ink. It's kind of fun to sometimes do it with the color. And you'll see some of that on Iron Coffin. It's another one, screen tones on this page, lots and lots of sound effects here. I think Aubrey might have called it out too, but I was also thinking during some of these scenes of my IDKFA Doom fan comic. You know, I think that was a big part of why Aubrey wanted me to do this story. So yeah. Let's see, let's show you like one or two more of these. I gotta show you this one. This was me like just saying, screw it, I'm just gonna go for Mobius vibes. This is one that I'm really happy with how it looks in black and white, actually. I think it works really well in black and white. But I forgot to mention, so I just have been wrestling with how I want to do faces lately and trying to figure out a new way, but I cut this out and replaced it when I had to redraw it from the back. And actually the same thing happened on this one. But this one, it was harder because it's like a triangle. So in this one, I cut out this section and, you know, did a new version of this. The original panel, it was no good. It was bad news. Bad news. Okay, one more of these, and then how about we'll look at some Iron Coffin, and then we'll get into that Jason Pearson book. Let me show you. Oh, that's cool. Also, I'm going to show you something I shouldn't show you. This is that Cyclone page. And this is another one that I was happy with how it looked in black and white. If I wanted this to just be a black and white and gray piece, I would probably put some screen tones on it, but this one turned out really, really nice. Hey, look at this crazy drawing. I don't know what that's for. Maybe you'll see it someday, maybe not. All right. Okay, so if any of you guys have gone over to AIPT Comics, you can see the 10-page preview that I'm going to show you here, and it'll probably look a little better just because, you know, you can get close to it or whatever. And we have all discussed how bad my camera is. Check in with your chats here. Edison says, the pages are busy with elements, but all reads clearly. Thanks, man. I'm trying to work on that. I like density, but I want also that clear reading. You know, but I do like the other thing that I've been like struggling with, I think, with editors sometimes, is that I like a page that is complex and invites you in, and you can't maybe figure it out right away, but then you kind of look at it a little bit longer and you get something out of it. Like some Chris Bachalo's work is kind of like that, and that's what I love about it. Anyway, lettering in the backdrop of the panels looks fun. Thanks, Ignis. Soul Archive, wearing Kenny down with Gundam references. Kenny loves Gundam, dude. That's if you want to. The key to Kenny's heart is Gundam. Can't wait to read Iron Coffin, and that Body Bags artist edition is amazing. Yes, it is. Kova's Lookout. We will pull that up in just a minute. Okay, all right. Well, so here's the first 10 pages of Operation Iron Coffin. It's been really fun to work on. And I'm coloring this as well. And so this has been kind of... it's been fun because I can really explore what I like, what I really want my work to look like. And color is something that I finally feel comfortable with after years of being a black and white only artist. I mean, most of my comics were black. Most of my comics are black and white. And then going to being colored by other people, and then now coloring my own stuff, it's been really fun. I'm feeling much more like I'm putting out something that is like it's mine. It's my vision. It's my, it's, whatever that means. And when I say mine, I just mean I'm the one who happened to channel it through, right? But it feels like, okay, this is how I want to do it. So we got some 2-page spreads in here. This one features a Nazi train. So the premise of Operation Iron Coffin is that Dracula is dropped onto a Nazi train that is heavily fortified with some real bad dudes, and also is carrying this super virus that they're threatening to release onto the world. Dracula is resurrected and has had a new turn where he feels regret for his past actions, and he is fighting the good fight now. And so he's dropped in an iron coffin onto a Nazi train. And then he has to fight his way through the train. So if you like things like, Snowpiercer or Indiana Jones or Dracula movies or really, really gory stuff, this is a book for you. It's a blast. I'm having so much fun doing this, and it is, I'm really comfortable saying it's like the best work I've done. And so I'm really excited for people to see it. And I'm just struggling to get it all done. He communicates via radio with the plane. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but they kind of fill you in on some of the story here. And then he starts wiping out some Nazis. And he's kind of creepy here in the dark, you see, and licking his fingers here. He still, on some level, enjoys the violence, I guess, is the way I think of him. He's redeemed, but there's still a piece of him that understands this the weird joy he gets of licking blood off of his fingers. I showed that one to Ryan Stegman, and he's like, that is so creepy. I was like, thanks, man. I love art that makes you pause and really take in the page, says the Soul Archive. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Such an incredible setup story. Good guy Dracula, baddies on a train. Dude, that's what it is, guys. And I love Dracula, and I love all these different versions of Dracula we've got over the years. I've seen so many Dracula and vampire movies. And part of me was like, I don't know. Like, it's been done a lot. And then I was like, but it hasn't been done by me. And it hasn't been done by Kenny. And we really are bringing the heat here. All the train cars you see on this 2-page spread of the train, which I know looks a little dark here. It's my bad camera mostly. But this 2-page spread of the train, all these different cars are actually different cars we're going to go through as the series goes on. And so I told Kenny, I was like, if we can do a spread or something where we can show the whole train, and so we can see like there's all these things for Dracula to fight through. So we have like a chapel car, which is the first one that he's going to encounter after he goes through the troop cars. We have a radio car and an anti-aircraft car, science lab. It's fun, man. So he encounters his first group of Nazis here, the first big group, and he's ready to go. So that's Operation Iron Coffin, man. And there's another book on the back here. It's an exorcism book. This is all part of the IDW Dark line, which is sort of their horror line. And a lot of the other books are actually movie tie-in books. And ours is the only creator-owned one that I know of so far. There might be another one on there, but ours is definitely a creator-owned series, which is really cool. So, I don't know, guys. Do you want to see some of those pages that I just showed you? Let me see if I can get them here. I have the whole issue done. The inks are done on the first issue. The colors are almost done. Here we go. Here's one. Oh man, they're all out of order. Let me just I should have done this before. Here. Let's put this one up first. Here's that spread. And just like everything else, I mean, these pages will be for sale once the book's out. And I will have a bunch of these at C2E2. I'll be at C2E2 in March here in Chicago. And so if you come to that show, come by and you can take a look at some of these pages that I have for issue. I'll probably have issues 1 and 2 pages with me while I'm at the show. Oh man, I can't show you that one right now. That's, ooh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, and it's 40 pages, so that's why it's taking me a while to find these. We have 40-page first issue, and then issues 2 and 3 are 30 pages each. So it's going to be sort of like thick, nice issues, and tell one complete story, which is really awesome and exciting. Okay, almost there. These are way at the beginning, so here we go. Here we go. Oh man, there's so much cool stuff I want to show you guys, but I can't. Okay. So here's page 1, and these got screen tones on here as well. Like I said, I just got a fresh batch, and I was like, I'm going to try to put some screen tones on here. What did Ichthus say here? Do you feel like more hats, the main concern is turnaround time? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more work. It is a lot more work. And when I agreed to it, I knew it was going to be a lot more work. But there's times when, say, like when I was drawing this 2-page spread here, I was like getting in here, and I'm about halfway through inking it, and I was like, oh my God, I got to color this too. I was like, oh no, I need to draw less stuff. I mean, obviously that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to max it out, but there are moments where I'm like, oh boy. But I do have a color assistant working with me on this, my good friend Alexandra Terry, who is amazing and did some color assistance for me on Eris as well. And so that has been a lifesaver. Like, Alex has been incredible. So that is the only way this would be getting done on time. Also, I have a great editor in Dave. I keep saying his name wrong. Dave's great. Here's the original pitch page, which I've showed on here before. These were the pitch pages that got book picked up. So I kind of remixed this for the actual book when we did it. Here's the train page. So I drew, all this. This also has screen tones on it. I agreed to the book with Kenny, and who knows? You say yes, and then you never know if you're going to get picked up. And I was like, man, now I got to learn how to draw trains. I've never drawn trains really. I mean, I've drawn a subway train a couple times. So it's been tricky, but I'm finding it kind of fun. They're at least they're just like rectangles. They're easier than cars. I'll say that. But yeah, it does take a lot more work. But I also, I said this to my editor, and he agrees. I mean, we're both like, we don't want the work to be bad, though, right? So if it takes time, it takes time, but the work has to be good. But y'all know me. I'm going to hit the deadlines, man. I always hit my deadlines. Like, that's what you do, man. It's a job. You do the job. Okay. Here is these are our villains, Hazel and Ivy. Well, we have multiple villains, but these are the main villains right here, Hazel and Ivy. They're sort of aristocrats that are in cahoots with the Nazis. This page has got some screen tone on it. All the pages don't have screen tone on them, unfortunately. Also that's kind of time consuming. Let's see. Here's the landing page. This was fun to remix. The original version I did was kind of more vibe piece, so you didn't really get to see all of Dracula's sort of costume or whatever you want to call it, his outfit. And so when I did this one of the main challenges was I wanted him to still vibe and feel scary, but also I wanted it to be like, okay, I want you to see that he has a radio. I want you to see that he's got like belts and buckles, and he's got kit on. He's not just like Dracula running around without stuff. He's got his tactical gear on and his communications gear. And then also just the difference in the story. In the pitch pages, the Nazis were here and they were pointing guns at him, but that was going to take place later. So I had to find other ways to kind of make it still have that impact. That one had those foreground figures, which I really liked. So what I did on this one was try to play up the smoke billowing out and stuff. Especially World War II stuff. They like big boxy stuff. How do you go about designing a page that massive? The Soul Archive asks. Well, you start small. You start small. Always start small. So I do my layouts on an iPad, but the first step of the iPad layouts is, and I'll have to show you guys sometime, is I just have the whole issue laid out as spreads in little tiny boxes on a canvas. And then I roughen the pages while reading the script from there so I can see how they relate to each other and what the spreads look like by each other. and it's really loose. It'll be like, okay, how many panels is this page? I'll kind of make sure I know how many panels are there and maybe how big the figures are in the panel. So they're very crude little drawings. And then from there, I blow those up to like a page dimension on the iPad, and then I do a more detailed thumbnail, which is, my thumbnails are getting closer and closer to pencils, but they're, it depends on how tight my deadline is and how detailed they get. But that's where I work out all the like design kinks, and I'll twist panels around and I'll move things around, and I'll use perspective tools to kind of knock in some shapes. And then, I'll also on my thumbnails do a quick pass to just spot blacks a little bit. So I'll be like, oh, this will be black and this will be black, instead of just having line drawings. And all that helps kind of me break down the whole process into these little bite-sized chunks. So it's not like, if I just started on the page, I'd be thinking about drawing the figures and drawing them correctly. And then I would also be thinking about the layout. Then I would also be thinking about the perspective. And so sometimes it's nice to, if you want to do a complex page like I like to do, to sort of break it down in little chunks like that. Here's another page with some screen tone on it. Commando Dracula, exactly. Soul Archive, you got it. Commando Dracula. What were the inspirations for creating your own design for Dracula, Friar Coffin, this ass? Love the black panel. Thanks, dude. Like for my design, I wanted him to feel dangerous, but stoic. But then at times I wanted his expression to be able to get really big, like I love manga and anime, and I like that you can have a character be like, and like totally deadpan, and then they can go to like an extreme scream. And also thinking about just the fact that he has, vampire teeth. I didn't want to see those all the time. I don't want him to be like, like all the time. But like when he does reveal them, that it can, his mouth can be a little bigger, blah, blah, blah. I wanted him to feel tall and thin, and sort of more like a, like a long, kind of with a lot of reach, and he's taller than a normal human. He's maybe like 7 feet tall or something. And so that he was powerful and scary, because even though he's the good guy, he still needs to feel like scary. So a lot of what I was looking at was, like horror comics. I was looking at a lot of Kelly Jones art, and I was looking at stuff like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, which I've talked about on here a bunch of times, but also just other Kawajiri movies, and a lot of manga and anime, so that I could, have that a little bit of that feeling of what's the word for it? Like I said, like that exaggeration. But I liked playing with the long figures. Like I had that character Worm in the Schlub, and he was sort of thin and long and wiry, and I wanted to make a character like that felt a little more dangerous. Not that Worm wasn't dangerous, but physically imposing. So those were some of the ideas going through my head when I was designing him. And then here, I'll show you the page that comes right after the preview, okay? But you guys can't tell anybody about it, okay? So right after the preview ends, we get into the first real fight, and this is where you can kind of see what Dracula is capable of. And he's fast, really fast, and he's really powerful, and he's sharp. He's sharp, he slices through things. So I wanted the page to kind of erupt into some chaos here, and so we got a little wild with the panels. The tricky thing, too, with this has been finding the balance of how much detail to put into things and how much to leave out. Because a lot of detail can be fun, but it can also, like, take away from your ability to show big action and stretching and things like that. So with the soldiers, I tried to keep them in pretty basic uniforms. I mean, the uniforms were pretty basic that they were wearing. But I don't obsess over the accuracy. This is a fantasy book, right? So it's inspired by the things of World War II. So that page I'm really proud of. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just sneak a peek in there for everybody. But here it is. Here's issue 1 right here. It's about How many pages? 40 pages. I thought I had the cover in here too, but all I'm seeing is the number 2 cover. Because the cover went through some revisions. I had a lot of ideas. We ended up going with the one you see there. That's like, I don't know where I put the cover. So anyway, all right. We are about 30 minutes in here. We're going to go ahead and pull out Jason Pearson's Artist Edition here, which I might have to kind of stand up for that. Let me check in with the chat here. Oh, Castlevania for sure. I mean, Castlevania was big, especially for Kenny and just the way we did the character. But definitely Castlevania is another one for sure, man. Schlub was a fun story. Thanks. Thank you. Henry says, says on the landing. I'm not sure what that means. But I love you, Henry. All right. This thing is a beast. Okay. Oh. All right. Jason Pearson's body bags. So I don't know how many of you guys have read body bags or seen body bags or are familiar with Jason Pearson's work. He's a huge inspiration to me visually, not so much maybe as a person or anything like that. We're not going to get into his, whatever was going on with him because I don't know anything about it enough to speak about it. But I do know that his work is, really big inspiration to me. And this book getting made was like so exciting to me because I have almost all of his comics and you don't see his original art anywhere because I guess he kept it all, or at least most of it. And so it wasn't like I could go to a show and look through some portfolios and see some Jason Pearson art very, very frequently or ever that I can think of. Whereas other artists, you can, especially if you know art dealers and stuff, like I know a few, they'll show you some stuff that they have or they'll know somebody who has a collection. But anyway, yes, this can crush a child. You're right. Greg is reminding people to like and subscribe. That's very kind of you. So I'm going to carefully try to show some of this. This end page is not being liked by my camera. It's all red paper here. So Body Bags is a pretty intense comic. Again, as far as the messages in it and stuff, I mean, it's a wild ride, right? It's definitely not for the faint of heart. But this artist edition is really incredible. It's incredible. I mean, the stuff, especially on these this first Body Bag series, he was being inked by Carl Story, and this stuff is really magical stuff. It's got this, Jason Pearson's work has these sort of cartoonist shapes that he can do, and these sort of big expressions, but still feels round and heavy and like it has mass. It doesn't look like a 2D cartoon, like a Peanuts cartoon or anything, right? It still feels very solidly grounded in sort of the physical world. And that's something I'm always trying to strive for, is like, how can I be a little more expressive but still keep that bit of reality there? So he's kind of known for a lot of different things, but I think one of the things that he directly probably is known for, probably because he was big into Michael Golden, which I also am into Michael Golden, is these great spotted blacks and these great sort of decisions on where to have open space, closed space, hatching lines. And then the other thing that I don't feel like people talk about as much, but I really enjoy, is he's got some really great paneling. I mean, these earlier stuff here is not too complex or anything, but as he goes on, he just really knows how to break up a page and make it visually exciting. Like even this page right here, what you have going on with hatching mixed with speed lines, mixed with solid blacks, right? And sound effects and effects, and then silhouettes here. And then down here you have something that's almost more of a line drawing that's going to depend a lot more on the color, and so it's more open. And so you get, all the different variations across every page. But the characters are just so thick and like heavy, and man, like these chunky lines here. Most of the body bag stuff is, I can't imagine it's incredibly hard to find. I don't know if the prices went up after he passed, but I mean, I've had a lot of mine for a while, so I'm not sure what they go for now. But look at this. Like, look at, this is Panda. She's one of the characters here. And she's got these, sorry to be a little crooked here, but she's got this sort of cartoony Disney face, but then he has these great hatch lines which sort of give it some texture, and then these really cool black drop shadows and big black shapes on the lips and in the hair. And it just feels like it's got weight on the page, and so it gives it weight in the in your reading of it. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here. This is so tough. The way he plays with proportions is great. He wasn't afraid to have a character be, I mean, she's obviously in the background here, but she's so tiny compared to him. This is her dad. And he's massive. He has this sort of smallish head that has a huge chin, and then these shoulders that are impossibly wide, but not sloped as much as they might be on like a regular muscled person or people in like other styles of art. And so he's got this like... he looks like almost like a hammer or a nail, this sort of anvil-like shape. His character designs are always wonderful. You can see Michael Golden in this stuff too. They definitely were on the same kind of wavelength. This is great. Check this out. Very sort of, these are the kind of scenes that can make you crazy as an artist, because it seems like it's a throwaway. It's not like a big hero shot, but you're going to try to create depth and atmosphere and give the scene some ambiance in these shots. And so they're really important, and they're really hard to figure out. And this isn't even like, he didn't, my instinct to show a party like this would have been to pull way, way back and have like a down shot or something. And this is so much more effective. He's almost at eye level with everyone, and you just let the bodies build up on each other. And so instead of having to draw like 100 full bodies, if I had done an above shot, you can draw, half a body here, a head back here, half a head over here, and it gets a little easier to fill the space. And then you just have like the implication of what the outside space looks like. But you can see here that we have people in the inside space that leads to an outdoor space. And so it creates more depth. And you have balloons here in front of things to kind of give it more depth. And then after that, you have silhouette to silhouette to silhouette to silhouette of leaves behind her, right? So it's like tiny silhouette that leads down the stairs to this guy. And then she's here in front of the shape of him, which is also the shape of the trees that are behind her. And then it comes down here where her white of her leg breaks this guy's solid shape. And so he didn't even have to draw the details on this guy, but there's this one line going across here throws this to the back. That's really cool. That's the kind of stuff that on an average day of drawing a comic, you're not going to figure all that out, because you're just like, I got to get this done, right? And when you can do stuff like that, it's really fun and invigorating. All right, let's see what else is cool in here. This is a nice shot. You kind of get the scale and perspective of these two. I love the way he draws the tears on her eyes. This whole first series, that's pretty wicked, right? This guy. And sorry I can't get any better shots here, but I think you're getting the gist of it. Checking with the chat here. Definitely a distinctive style for sure. The Soul Archive, yes, especially the cartoon but real feel. Thank you. That really makes my day to hear that, because I'm trying to push that. My default is to be a little more grounded in reality, and I want to be a little bit more cartoony if I can. I've probably said that 100 times on here. So that's most of the first series, and then they have parts of they have pretty much all the other series, and they have a whole unpublished story, which is crazy to me. I mean, it's not the whole thing. It's like, but it's like 30 pages or something of an unpublished story in here. So if you guys are into his stuff, I mean, there's stuff in here that you're never going to see anywhere else other than just the original art from stuff that's been published. But he shifts from that, and then he can do this sort of cartoony, completely clean line style. And I think partially he was coloring himself on some of these things, or at least he had a very specific vision in mind for the colors. And then not only that, since he's shifted away from using that whole thing of like, you know, the solid black areas, now he's using these great linear shapes of piping and stuff and overhead lights to sort of draw you through the panels, right? You have this leg here to this guy here to these pointing down to these guys here. You know, you're just going exactly there, and then he overlaps panels instead of just overlapping dark shapes, you know, like he was doing before. It's almost like he was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to do it completely different. And this stuff gets a slightly more cartoony feel, and I think that's enhanced or, you know, maybe partially due to the lack of the solid blacks on these pages. These do look cool colored. I don't prefer this as much, but there's a kind of a mashup version at the end of the book that's some of the unpublished stuff that is my favorite. So here we have another body bag story where he sticks with the clean line style that we saw in this sort of cartoony one too, but it's got that more grounded in reality as far as shapes and like scale of things. It looks like he's gone from using a brush on the Carl Story stuff, or whoever was inking Carl Story probably, to using some kind of nib pen on these ones. Still beautiful though. And he draws these cars like crazy. Like, I thought that he probably just traced something, you know, and I wouldn't have held it against him. But when you look at the original art, you can see that he's done an underdrawing for the car. Well, it's printed, but so he had some kind of 3D model or something. But then he drew on top of that. And so the starting point wasn't just like a photo. Because I was like, how is he getting these like shapes so good? But you can see the delicate pen work that does it. I like the way his, I try to do this too. I like the way his like rip type shapes of like clothes get kind of angular. Todd McFarlane would do that too, where like a rip would have like, instead of being like frayed, it would have like sharp points. And that's 100% my kind of jam. I really love that drawing right there. Right here is a really cool sequence. So he brings the car in, it's kind of bulletproof. You're seeing all these bullet hits. I love all those. And then you get a little bit of Panda giving sticking her tongue out. He slides into these guys, and you see this guy's trapped behind the car. So from here to here. But then the panel border here, this is the same shot, right? So here's the car, right? And it goes into this panel, and then you see what he's screaming about is that he's getting his guts ripped out. So I like this little, and look how the car points to it. These things are like kind of subtle and maybe too inside baseball sometimes, but to me, I don't think a lot of artists always think about it, partially because it's difficult. But I think a lot of artists that do, you know, think about those kind of things, like how you're going from one panel to the next. I think about it all the time, and you can see it right here, you know. All these shapes, you know, and the layout are pointing, and that's what I'm doing in the small drawings that I was talking about earlier. Is I'm figuring out that, right? I'm figuring out like where am I going from panel to panel. So even without the spotted blacks, he works in a lot of big moments that have a lot of detail in them. So some of this, he starts doing this kind of clean line style again, and it's like some of this stuff in the back is crazy. This came with a giant bookmark too. Where's that? Right here. It's pretty cool. This story's all right. Anyway, so check this out. At the beginning of this story, this is the one I think that's unpublished. He's drawing the pages in the style of like an 80s or 90s comic, right? Like an earlier sort of style, you know? and then it shifts into his comic, like the real world of his comic from that kind of history story, and it goes to this. The stuff here, it might be hard to see on the camera. Oh man, that's such a drag. I have so much light too. This stuff is crazy. Like, I had never seen this stuff before, and it's crazy. Like, he's got so many characters in the panels and so much going on, but it's so clear. And there's all these great shapes on the characters, and their faces are kind of constructed in these really interesting ways. This is so cool. These pages here are, yeah, unpublished. So it's like pencils you're seeing, and so that's why it's kind of light. But the pencils on this are nuts. Like, one of these days I'm going to have to try to print one of these out and ink it, because it is so cool. Oh, this little strike up here. There's even a little bit of a Jamie Hewlett kind of feel to some of this stuff. I don't know if they're selling these like past the Kickstarter, but if there's any way to get your hands on one, these are sick, dude. Look at this. Oh, that's sick, man. That is so cool. All right, a couple more flips here, and then we're gonna get to work on this drawing. Okay, let's show some of this back stuff here. Look at these. Look at this. This is nuts. This is nuts. Oh, it's packed with detail. All right. So these are some covers by Michael Golden, which is pretty cool. He did some covers for Body Bags, and I love Michael Golden, so these are things I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. It's this blood and everything. This is my kind of jam right here. That's good. And it came with another book. It was like an art edition plus that had character designs and stuff in the back, or in it, and that's pretty neat too. Maybe I'll show that on a different day. But oh geez, that's the Jason Pearson Body Bags. All right, check in with you guys, and I'm going to adjust my desk here. We still got 6 of you. That warms my heart. Reminds me of Hard Boiled. Yeah, for sure. So like archive, for sure. All right, let's move this up. All right. All right, so I penciled a little drawing, if I can find it. Here we go. Oh, well, there's the cover. There's the cover for Operation Iron Coffin right there. All right, so we're going to do a quick ink on this Dracula here. So this cover, by the way, yeah, as we were saying, this was one of many options that I came up with for it. But it was probably the best one to go with because it tells the whole concept very clearly, right? Dracula, or a vampire of some kind, bombers, castles, and Nazis, right? Like trains. It's all there. Blood, it's all there. So it's probably best we went with this one. And here, let's do a side-by-side here. Let me see. It turned out all right. I don't think I changed too much when I colored it. Sometimes I rework things if I don't like them, like a face or something. I added some more strands of hair, I think. That's about it. There's a lot of hair. Dracula has a lot of hair in my comic. All right, let's ink this real quick because I've been working on my iPad for like the last week and a half coloring, and so I don't even remember how to draw on paper. So let's see how this goes. Okay. I used to zoom this in a little bit more. See if I can do it. Nope, that's not it. Well, we'll just roll with this, folks. I think we'll live. All right. So Dracula's sticking his hand through this guy's chest. I mean, right? And we're just going to go for it. Let's just go for it, guys. It's been a long day. A lot of coloring. coloring, you know, it's not like I would much rather be drawing at a desk, right? But like, it's fun in a lot of ways because it doesn't require quite as much. Once I've drawn the page, I feel like I've figured it out, right? So when I get to coloring it, it's more kind of like, well, how can I just punch this up a little bit, or like, what's something fun I can try? Whereas when I'm drawing it, I'm sort of like, oh, I gotta get this, I gotta figure this out. So much to figure out. But we'll have some fun tonight. We're just gonna do a fun, quick one here, and then I need to go rest the shoulder. Ugh. Canon family curse. Probably needs more blood here. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I forgot to mention, we've got, I'm not sure if he's still in the chat there, but we've got Mr. Edison Neo is doing a little something special for our book as well. That's probably not been announced yet, so I'll leave it at that, but happy to have him on board. Okay, guys, what's the best horror movie you watched this year? I love horror movies, and I'm always looking for recs. So, what's the best and what's the worst? That's what I need to know, because I like the good ones and I really like the bad ones. So, let me know. I'm trying to think what my favorite or least favorite was. I enjoyed the ones I saw. I saw Primate. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It felt very throwback, and I kind of dug that. What else did I see? Nosferatu was alright. It wasn't really scary, but it was beautiful. Craig doesn't like horror movies. That's okay. Maybe, if you like sci-fi movies, I like sci-fi movies too. I'll take Rex on that too. This guy's watching himself get murdered here. But you know what? He's a Nazi, so. So I've been using different paper lately too. This paper is from Eon products or whatever they're called, and it's pretty nice. I was having a really hard time getting the paper I prefer. Not only was it crazy expensive now, but it also just was never in stock. And like, I went to the place I usually get it, a Blick, because that's the only thing left anymore, which is a bummer. Not only did they not have it, they told me they never have had it. And I'm like, yo, I bought it here like 100 times. I have the receipts. And they're like, no, we don't carry that. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not using that paper anymore. And you can get it online, but it's crazy expensive. Half of it shows up bent, So, Eon was recommended to me by my friend Jay, and I think my friend Dave Acosta also uses their stuff. And this is a little toothier than I'm used to, but it holds the ink really well. Something that I as you guys know, have a problem with is I'll go a little quick and then my ink smears. That doesn't really happen on this paper as much. It soaks it up a lot better than the plate surface I was using before. And so I kind of dig that. But it definitely changes the way the brush and the pens behave on it. It's a little rough for pens sometimes, but not in a way that's prohibitive. Like I've still been able to use most of my pens. And if I just pay more attention to which tools I'm using for each part, I'm usually fine. Memories by Otomo, one of my all-time favorite animes. I love Memories. I've bought it like 3 times. I remember buying the bootleg VHS in college, and then buying a bootleg or VCD of it in college, and then buying a bootleg DVD of it after college. And now I have the new release of it, which is really beautiful. If you like that one, check out Short Piece, another one that Otomo did more recently, and Robot Carnival and Neo Tokyo. Those are all great. Prophecy vibe here is with the hand through the chest. I love it, man. I love it. Love a good prophecy reference. Greggy liked Predator Badlands. Okay, cool. Eon makes great stuff. Yes, Greg, I agree. Yeah, a haunted blick, yes, says the Soul Archive. You might be right. There was other people in there, but... So another thing I was thinking about with my Dracula design, now that I am doing him, I'm thinking about it. And I just rewatched this again. There's this movie called Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is from like maybe 2001. And I saw it when I was in school and I really loved it. I still really love it, honestly. But they had those cool big collars. I was like, I've always wanted to draw a character with a big collar. And I've never really had the right opportunity. And I was like, well, Dracula could have a big collar. That'd look cool, you know? So, and then also Vampire Hunter D, of course. Those were the kind of the collar came from. I debated going more in the direction of some of the older movies. I watched the original, or one of the early Draculas, the Todd Browning one, because I did a bunch of, I watched a lot of Dracula stuff before I started working on this, just to kind of get geared up. And in that one, I really fell in love with the whole look of it. I actually have a couple references to it in this book. So if you've never seen that movie, go check it out, and you might see the references in there. But those Draculas back then had these capes and stuff. And I was like, well, could I make that work? Could that be cool? I ended up just sticking with the jacket, which is probably a good idea. But I thought about it for a minute. I was like, well, what if I did like a cape? Like a real old school one. The other thing Kenny was adamant about, and I was totally fine with, he's like, well, he's got to have a mustache. And I was like, well, heck yeah. He had a mustache in the book. He has a mustache in the Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is like one of my favorites. He should have a mustache, of course. Dracula has a mustache. I don't know why people thought that was weird. He's always had a mustache. So I was like, yeah, let's give him a mustache. So my Dracula has a mustache. He's got a mustache and long locks. I wanted him to have big long hair, and that was mostly because I really like how that can sort of either help show motion when he's moving, or do things like create dramatic shapes over his face or shadows. It kind of just adds a little more mystique, whatever. You can have the hair in front of his face, you can have his hair messy, you can have his hair, it's another expressive element. And so I thought, let's give him some long hair, and he's old. And so I just thought, what if his hair's just like been growing, There we go. You know, I've drawn 40 pages already, but I still feel like I'm just getting the hang of him. You know, like the when I was doing the schlub, it was like issue 4 when I was like, okay, now I know how to draw the schlub. And then it was like, okay, now it's over. But this one, I'm getting the hang of it a little quicker. He's been kind to me. I feel like I've known this Dracula for a while. He's been inside me waiting to kind of come out. I had no idea I was going to draw Dracula ever, but this is the one. We're just going to do some rough hair here for now. It's a bad day to be a Nazi when Dracula's around. Alright, we're getting there. About ready to erase and then see what the damage is. I have been drawing a lot of swastikas, which feels weird, but luckily most of them are covered in blood. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Get the old pen out here. Alright. Now, I think I've talked about this before, but this is the best eraser. I used to swear by this eraser. This is still a great eraser. But these sumo grips, that's where it's at, man. I'm telling you. Get a sumo grip if you can. And they make them big fat like this. You can get smaller ones too. But these ones you can erase like half the page in like 2 seconds. It's great. I misfired his nose here. I think I've been using a different lead lately because I ran out of the one I like. And this one's a little heavier. But this still pulls it right up. I've just been pushing hard, it looks like. Must be because I've been on the iPad. Alright, we're going to clean this up a tiny bit. Alright, adds to the spookiness. Give him a half-filled creeper stash, yeah. Big colors, cool hats. Yeah, that eraser rules, man. Alright, we might just have to fill this coat in here. I've also been looking at a lot of Luther Strode, which I've always loved, but for this, I've been looking at it for sort of inspiration on some of the action, but also the character designs. Trad pushes things a lot further than I usually do, and I've always loved that. And so being a little more open to just having various proportions being represented instead of trying to keep everybody on the exact same sort of realistic scale at all times, which is, again, maybe more my default position, is like, well, this guy wouldn't, his head would have to be this size if he wasn't this tall or whatever. Instead, just being a little more expressive about it and saying, like, well, Dracula's big here because he's got to look big here, and Dracula's, more expressive here or less expressive there. It is a medium that lends itself well to being expressive, I think, and it's good to try to take advantage of it. And then these little fluffy parts of the coat are kind of like, some kind of lining. But I thought it'd be cool if he had sort of at least one or two softer elements on the outfit, so it wasn't just a bunch of solid black, lines everywhere. Didn't you guys pick up this dork book I've been hearing about? My buddy Jason had done a cover for it, so I had seen it a while back, and then I hear it's people are very excited about it, or it looks cool. I know it's partially a value type thing, but I think the book has been pretty well reviewed as well. I need to get to the store. I'm like 3 issues behind on Batman, Absolute Batman right now as well. The other nice thing about coloring myself is that I can do weird shapes like this, and I know exactly where everything is, so I can, make it more solid in the colors. This will just be black and white, though. Old style beer, yay or nay? Not my bag, really. I mean, if I have to drink a cheap beer, I think I'd rather probably have a Stroh's or a Molson, but that's just me. Been reading through the Danny Warren Johnson collection book. Yeah, that one is really big too. I thought about pulling that one out tonight, but I was like, I don't know. I think y'all probably have seen all that already. But it's a really neat collection of stuff. I was excited for him to have that kind of come together. He was really pumped about it. I know they worked really hard to make it kind of feel special and really full of cool stuff. I have that one too. I can't remember if I did a stream yet of the Extremity Artist Edition. I have one of those as well. Yeah, Dan's stuff is really fun to see in raw form because not that he does a ton of cleanup on it, but, even just adding color to it, smooths it out a bit, and I think that Dan's stuff is like got a lot of raw energy when you see it in real life or on, in a reproduction like that. But you all know this already. We all know this. He's a beast. He's a beast. The boy's a beast. Don't have any money for retirement. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just happy that anything's exciting in the comics world, people. I mean, if it's a speculator thing or a real good book or whatever it is, I mean, it's just cool to have, something that people are excited about in comics, right? And I'm excited for those creators, to hit a kind of moment like that is really special and rare. And everybody that works hard at making these books deserves to have some, a little bit of recognition here and there. So I'm glad they're getting that. And money, it's pretty rare you get a payday that size either. So it's like, well, yeah, enjoy it. I'm happy for them. Okay, I'm not going to firm this up too much, Tyrell. Don't be crazy. But let's just get a couple things worked out here. Might just fill that in. This as well. When in doubt, black it out. That's what Wally Wood would say. Of course, he might have been blacking out from drinking. I don't know. But yeah, dude. Absolutely. That's what I like. Saving space for my canning collection. Well, hey. That would be fun. Folks, one of the things I will be doing soon, I hope, is, when I say soon, I mean maybe in the next year, is most of my mini comics are out of print. And so I might be doing a collection of those, maybe via Kickstarter or something. I haven't decided if that's something folks would be interested in. I would like to have them all together in one place, and then I don't have to reprint them in tiny little groups all the time. So stay tuned. It will happen. I just don't know exactly when yet. It might be a fall thing. It might be a next year thing. I would like it to be a fall thing. It'll honestly, it will depend on if I have work or not. If I don't have work, I will put that together. If I do have work, and then I'll do a new story for it. I already know what I'm going to do, for a new mini, and I'll include that in there as well. So it'll have everything, even the out of print stuff. Well, I guess all of it's out of print now. The only thing I have left now is Prophets of Disclosure. But if you come see me at C2E2 in March, I will have all these new cool comps I got of Free Planet and some other cool stuff that I did not have at past shows, like the Eris collection as well, which I know some of you guys have, but if you haven't picked it up yet, you can get it signed in person, or, if that's your jam. And if I had, maybe I will do this later, but I'm not going to paint this hand red. I would really like to, because that's going to be what sells this, but I don't want to dig out my red stuff right now, because it is buried, unfortunately. I think I finally finished my red ink when I was doing Eris book, chapter 3. Because I did a lot of the red blood on paper in red ink on that one. So I had this red ink that I'd been carrying around for years. It was not probably good anymore, but I was still using it. And I finished it off finally on that book. Because I don't typically use red ink unless it's a commission or something. This is silly, I like it. I really want to get one of your first comics. The name escapes me at the moment, but you showed it on here and it was so rad. Well, a lot of them are out of print. I think it was a fantasy or medieval battle of some sort. Might have been Victus. Victus has sort of a medieval feel to it. And I was just thinking about that the other day. I believe it's available to my... I used to have it available to my Patreon subscribers in digital form. But yeah, that one's tough. If you're coming to a show, let me know. And if I have any laying around, I really don't think I do, but I will look. And I can bring you one. But yeah, they are... That book I would love to finish someday, but I don't know. That was one that I stopped doing to start doing Eris. And I do have a 5th issue of it that's done, pretty much done, and I just haven't printed it up yet, or made it available to anybody. But that was one of the things I had shared with my Patreons, or Patreon people as well, was the 5th issue, which had never been published. If anyone's really interested, hit me up. I'm happy to send you a PDF or something, or the copies are not available of that. You know what, we just need to make, I think, his whole head black, maybe, since I'm not doing a black background right now. might be better. Yeah. All right. That's cool. That was a fun little sketch. It was nice to draw on paper again. I guess I should shine it. I keep forgetting to sign 2026, so let's make sure I do it right this time. You know what, maybe just... I changed my mind. I wanted to add some gray, if you haven't noticed. I was like, why not? When's the last time I've done a little gray marker here? Give it a little juice. Sure, there we go. All right, Greg, thanks for stopping by, man. Soul Archive says, yeah, that's the one. Okay, that's the one. You got it, Victus. All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning into the stream. It's been way longer than I thought I was going to be on here, but thanks for sticking out with me. Hopefully I'll be on here again in less time than it was last